If I asked you where a word gets its meaning, you'd probably point to a dictionary, right? But what if I told you the dictionary only gives you a tiny, tiny piece of the puzzle? The real, secret ingredient that gives language its power, its true meaning, isn't written down anywhere. It's all around us.
To really see this in action, let's try a little thought experiment. It's a simple puzzle, but it reveals just how much work our brains are doing behind the scenes every single time we communicate.
So take a look at this sentence. Try to read it just as it is, without adding any of your own assumptions. What information is it actually giving you?
It's cold in the bedroom. Simple enough, right? A plain statement about the temperature. But think about it for a second. Is that all it is? Without anything else to go on, these words are just kind of floating in a void. They don't really do anything.
Now watch what happens when we drop this sentence into two completely different social settings. On the left, a hotel guest says it to the manager. Suddenly, it's not a weather report anymore, is it? It's a complaint. It means, hey, fix my heating. But on the right, someone's just looking for a place to store apples. The exact same words now become a helpful suggestion. The words didn't change, but the world around them did. And that changed everything.
So, this magical ingredient has a name. It's called context. You can think of it as the invisible framework, the who, where, why, and when of any conversation that gives our words their true purpose and their real power. And just to be super clear, we're not talking about cotext. Cotext is just the words immediately around another word. You know, how we know bark is part of a tree in one sentence and a dog sound in another. That's useful for sure, but what we're exploring today is much, much bigger. It's the entire social situation. So, now that we've seen how powerful context is, let's break it down. Let's think of it like a recipe. What are the essential ingredients that mix together to create all this meaning? It turns out there are 6 key ingredients in this recipe. We're going to look at everything from the physical setting and the people involved to some more subtle things like power, intention, and even this fascinating concept called face. Let's break them down one by one. First up, the setting. This is all about where the conversation is taking place. Are you with friends at a cafe, or are you in a formal business meeting? The physical and social environment completely changes your language. With friends, hang on, is perfectly fine. In a meeting, you'd probably switch to something much more formal, like, may I just ask?
Next up, the people involved. And it's actually more complex than just a speaker and a listener. Think about it. You might say something directly to your friend in a group, but maybe your real target is the person standing next to them you're trying to impress. Understanding who is truly meant to receive the message is key to figuring out why certain words are chosen.
Ingredient 3 is all about power. Who has the authority in the conversation? An immigration officer holds all the power, so they can be direct, even abrupt. What is the reason for your visit? But a sales agent trying to win your business has very little power, so they soften the language. Can you tell me the reason for your visit? The balance of power is basically the politeness style in any conversation.
What does the speaker actually want? That's our 4th ingredient, intention. You know, when someone says, "How are you?" as they pass you in the hallway, their intention is just to be social. It's not a real question. But when a close friend sits you down, looks you in the eye, and asks, "How are you really?" well, the intention is completely different. The goal behind the words changes their entire meaning.
Number 5 is a really cool concept called face, which is basically your public image or your self-esteem. When we make a demand, we risk threatening the other person's face. So instead of a direct threat like, "Get this done by Friday," we soften it. We might use an inclusive we, like, "We need to get this done," or make it passive and less personal. "Can it be done by Friday?" We do this constantly, without even thinking, just to maintain social harmony.
And finally, the topic, or what linguists call the field of discourse. The subject matter determines the specific vocabulary and structure, the register that we use. A Marine command like Port 20 and a driving instructor saying, "Please turn a little to the left here," might mean the exact same physical action, but the language is totally specialized for its field. So, we have our 6 ingredients. But that raises a big question. Where do we learn all these unspoken rules? How do we build this massive library of social situations in our heads?
Well, it turns out we draw context from 2 main sources, and it's a pretty even split, about half from our own personal world and half from the wider outside world. Half of it comes from your personal world. This is everything that makes you, well, you. Where you are right now, your unique memories, your job, your hobbies. This is the context you build just from living your life, and it's what makes conversations feel relevant and personal.
But we also import context from the outside world.
To talk about things beyond our direct experience, we bring in context from the news, books, movies, and the web. This shared pool of information allows us to understand and discuss everything from historical events to what it's like to be in a situation we've never personally been in.
Okay, so we know what context is, its ingredients, and where it comes from. Now we get to the most important part. How can we consciously use this knowledge to become better communicators or even learn languages faster? Well, it turns out there's a trick to it. Actually, there are two tricks, and this first one might just change how you think about learning altogether.
Look at this. In almost any other subject, say history or science, the teacher and student share a language, but have different knowledge. So the job is to use that shared language to teach new facts. But language teaching is the complete reverse. The teacher and student often share a lot of world knowledge, we all know what a restaurant is, or what it feels like to be happy, but they have different languages. So the job is to use that shared knowledge of the world as the context to teach a new code, a new language. We literally teach backwards.
The second trick is all about focus. You don't need to analyze all 6 ingredients of context in every single conversation. The key is to get good at quickly identifying which one is the most important in that specific moment. Are you talking to your boss? Then power relationships are key. Are you giving a technical presentation? Then topic is going to be the most important. And you can train yourself to do this by actively noticing context. Start asking yourself these kinds of questions when you listen to people talk. Do they know each other well? That'll tell you about formality. Who's more powerful here? That reveals the power dynamic. What does she really want from this conversation? That's about intention. Getting good at asking these questions is like gaining a superpower. You start to see the invisible architecture that holds every single conversation together.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Every time you learn a new piece of language, ask yourself, are you just learning isolated words from a list, or are you learning the key to unlock entire social worlds, each with its own rules, relationships, and ways of being? Because that right there is the true power of context.